Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing Magic, and Mysticism. Just wanted to let you all know we're about to hit a milestone of having 1,000 subscribers. So thanks to y'all for sharing and liking and making comments. So small families growing a little bit bigger. Second thing is that I just want to let y'all know that I probably won't be having a video here on YouTube next week. What I'm going to be focusing on is I'm going to be doing a video on Patreon for my Patreon subscribers, my inner circle. So what I'm going to be doing is actually not telling about Saint Expedite and his stuff, but I'm actually going to be doing a walkthrough of one way of doing a ritual to petition Saint Expedite. So this is going to be more like a show and tell. And it's going to take place in my temple rather than kind of out here. So if you're interested in participating in that, then feel free to go and subscribe to my Patreon, support the channel, and you'll get a chance to see that. But anyway, let's move on. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about the discernment of spirits. So when I say discernment, I know everyone kind of has a sense of what that is. My definition of spirit discernment is this. It's not the ability to be able to tell between light and dark or good and bad. And besides, good and bad are just value judgments. I'm going to leave it up to you as far as what standards are good and bad for you. However, I think that discernment is more about what is the dark and the not so dark from the light and not so light. So it's the subtleties, it's the nuances, which is going to help determine how good your discernment is. And discernment is really important for dealing with spirits because some can appear one way and be actually another. So I'm going to kind of give you an exercise in a second, which is going to help you get a pretty good handle on your inner landscape. And I'll do a few seconds of walking that through with you. There is errors that could be made in discernment. For example, if you remember from statistics, if you ever taken that in college, for example, type 1 errors, which are false positives. So type 1 errors in spirit communication would be if you think that you're talking to spirits and entities, but what's really happening is your brain is creating images, and you're talking to yourself and not realizing that's happening. Okay, so that's type 1 error. The type 2 error would be the false negatives. So that would be if you are actually in touch with spirit and they are trying to communicate with you. However, you feel that it really is your imagination and that it really is you talking to yourself, but what's actually happening is that spirit is trying to communicate with you and you're getting some things. So you want to avoid those two errors, both type 1 and type 2, in spirit discernment. So let me tell you about this exercise. So it's called image streaming, and feel free to Google this. I've been doing this for a couple months now. Image streaming is a imaginal exercise that you can do with yourself. You can do it, say in any room, and maybe prior to meditation, for example. And what it is you're getting in touch with the images and the sounds and what's going on inside your head. So it isn't like you're doing breathing exercises and you're trying to calm stuff down. You're just kind of letting it come, you're letting it go. And while you're seeing these things, hearing these things in your head, you're verbalizing it. So if you can imagine what's happening there is that you're getting in touch with the visual, auditory, and the speaking centers of your brain, and you're doing it all at once. So your brain is getting a really good workout. So this particular exercise has been shown through studies to actually temporarily increase IQ points. And the more that it is done over a period of hours, the more IQ points supposedly one achieves. Now, this is so new that I don't think there's any long-term studies to see whether it has long-lasting effects. However, I've done it in the morning to try to wake my brain up, and it really has helped me focus more. It's helped concentration and memory a little bit. So that is something that's the least that you can get. However, for our purposes here, we're going to do it to be able to see how your mind works. Now, you might say, well, I already know how my mind works. I'm 30-something years old. I've been in my brain a long time. That may be true. However, I know that there are certain people that they may be more outward oriented. They may be really more focused on what's going on outside of them and paying attention to that rather than what's going on inside of them. You may have met certain people who are really out of touch with their thoughts and their feelings. So this could be really helpful for those people, or it could be really helpful for someone who is an introvert who may be too in touch with what's going on, and they may need to be able to look at the stream and not the ocean. They may be flooded and inundated and overwhelmed by the unconscious content that's going through their brain. So when that's happening, they still can be a little lost. So what I would suggest that you do is you find a time to do this and just practice. It could be anywhere. It could be 5-10 minutes in your car or in your bedroom, in the living room, on the sofa. So this is kind of how it works. So I gave a brief description, but if I were to do it like right now, so first I'd close my eyes and I would say what is coming to my mind. Okay, so right now I'm in a yard and there are pine trees around. Of course, you got to be very descriptive. So pine trees, very tall. You can see the pine needles. I could smell the pine. I'm walking now and I could feel the dirt under my feet. I can hear the birds chirping. There's a small lake to my right. And as I walk, I'm going down this path. And there's a trail. And while I walk during the trail, it gets darker because the trees, there are a lot of trees, and it's creating the darkness. And I walk through and I hear an animal in the woods, but I can't see it. Okay, so that's a few seconds of it. The point is to be very descriptive, engage the senses, talk about what you see, what you hear. If you have any feelings, talk about that. And just let the scene evolve. It's just kind of the active use of your imagination. So what did I learn there? Well, I learned what happens when I intentionally create something in my mind. Not intentionally, not meaning that, maybe that's a bad word. I didn't set out to create that scene. However, I did allow it to happen, and I let it go. Let it move on its own. And that is how our brain kind of just does. I mean, that's how it works. So if you can get a handle on that by doing this exercise, you will be able to detect the difference between what you just did and an entity, a spirit, an angel, a demon, an elemental. But you need to be able to discern the difference in order to be able to take everything, whether it's serious or not. And if it is an entity, then you can take steps to address it. If it is you and you detect that, hey, this is my imagination, congratulations. I mean, you caught yourself. Even the most accurate psychics, they make mistakes. they sometimes misinterpret things. Many times they, again, think that some of their internal stuff is spirits. So this is kind of a work in progress, but I think this little play exercise is something that would be very helpful. So I encourage you to kind of do that. To kind of give you kind of a quick story about the discernment of spirits. This is something that happened to me about a week ago. And there isn't, okay, so you can discern spirits or you not discern spirits. Just like anything, it'll exist along a continuum. Because I'm much better than I used to be, but I'm not perfect because I'm learning, and I have not been able to come across all of the different spiritual species, so to speak, that there are. And even familiar species, there may be a couple that are just different. So this is what happened. Backstory is that since I was in college, which is when I really started to be able to detect my spirit guides, there was one in particular who was different than the rest. He was more powerful. He had a little more light. So from as I expressed in my previous videos about the spiritualism, I was going through that particular program, and I was saying, okay, wow, this is my master guide. And that's what I assumed. So from that point on, when I was 18 years old, up until now, this particular spirit has been with me consistently. He would be the first, if I was in trouble, that I called, he would be the first to show up, which says a little bit about his abilities, his knowledge and strength. Doesn't delay. All the way up until now. So about a couple weeks ago, I was in meditation and something clicked. Wires connected. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that John is a master spirit guide. I'm sensing that he's an angel. So then I called him in. And this is, as a side note, this is something that I find that spirit guides and angels will do, is that they do care about imparting knowledge, but they will give you the leeway to figure it out for yourself. You don't learn anything by them giving you all the information. Just like in school, you have to figure out the math problems on your own. And the teacher's there to help you if you really are in trouble. But when there's a test, you're on your own anyway. So I kind of confronted him about that, and I said, "Are you an angel?" And he said, "Yes." Now you see, he knew that the whole time, and he didn't reveal that. He could have easily revealed that to me. However, until I learned how to discern the spirits and gain a high enough ability to do that, I would never have been able to raise that question to him, and he would never have been able, and he would never have answered me. So it's almost like it was like a teaching moment. It's like, okay, congratulations. You can tell the difference between X and X minus 1, So that is the discernment of spirits. And sometimes it is easy to detect, and sometimes not so easy. In any case, if you're interested, that's it for the video. If you're interested in signing up for Patreon, I'll put a link in the description below. And I will see you in a future video. See you later.